Trump mishandling classified information? Not so fast. Not so fast! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is another Declaration of Truth from your host, Terry A. Halberman. The Trump raid story now has a new twist. President Trump now claims that he issued a standing order to declassify automatically any document he took to the residential quarters of the White House. Naturally, people outside the White House are trying to dispute that. But in fact, Trump relies on two executive orders, including one from Barack Obama himself, that he, Trump, never rescinded. Those two EOs say essentially that the president and the vice president may declassify what they please, how they please. And some of the same people who excused this in Obama and especially Hillary now want to prosecute Trump for it. Well, let them try. And let them then defend selective application of the law, which seems to be define their entire philosophy of law. Before we dive into it, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views, link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of good merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I've chosen for today, which reads, now follow it carefully, "Buy a man, eat fish, the say each man to lifetime." Signed, Joe Biden. Well, this isn't about Biden per se, although it might be at that. I'm not buying his Mission Impossible secretarial disavowal of any advanced knowledge of anything Attorney General Merrick Garland does. But this certainly seems to apply to some of his apologists, including lawyers, who should know better, as I intend to show. Trump himself asserted the standing order after the Trump raid warrant and property list came out on Friday afternoon. Now, as I did yesterday, I have left a link in the description to that warrant. Notice, property listings 10A, 11A, 13A, and 14A for miscellaneous documents having one of the three designations for classified material, which are, as I'm sure you know, confidential, secret, and top secret. But the only way the FBI knows to call them that is by reading markings on them. Well, according to the standing order, those markings don't mean a thing. Trump spells it out in a statement he gave to Mr. John Solomon, owner-publisher of Just the News. And the Western Journal has the statement in full. I've left a link in the description, and I'm going to quote it to you right now. As we can all relate to, everyone ends up having to bring home their work from time to time. American presidents are no different. President Trump, in order to prepare the work the next day, often took documents, including classified documents, to the residence. He had a standing order that documents removed from the Oval Office and taken to the residence were deemed to be declassified the moment he removed them. The power to classify and declassify documents rests solely with the President of the United States. The idea that some paper-pushing bureaucrat with classification authority delegated by the President needs to approve the declassification is absurd. Now, two former officials who, for whatever reason, feel they must state this anonymously, back this up. If Trump wanted to preserve any given document as classified, he wouldn't take it to the residential quarters. He would give it back to the staff secretary or the intelligence official who provided it. One of them said in answer to the question of a standing order to declassify, quote, "I don't know anyone or anything that disputes that," unquote. Now, in what could be the strongest defense of the authority of a president to issue such a standing order, other anonymous sources who worked for previous administrations said that sort of thing went on all the time. Earlier presidents have shared top secret information on the fly with foreign leaders or with staff who were not then cleared to see or handle top secret material. All these sources agreed that a president's authority to declassify or downgrade documents was absolute and none could gainsay him. Oh, wait a minute. Downgrade? That means to reclassify certain information at a lower level, short of declassifying it entirely. Top secret to secret is a downgrade. And so would top secret to confidential or secret to confidential. So now that we've cleared that up, anyone in government other than the president and vice president must follow a strict procedure for safeguarding, declassifying, or downgrading classified information. Executive Order 13526, to which I have a link in the description, lays out that policy, but exempts the sitting president and vice president from it. I quote, "Information originated by the incumbent president or the incumbent vice president, the incumbent president's White House staff or the incumbent vice president's staff, committees, commissions, or boards appointed by the incumbent president or other entities within the executive office of the president that solely advise and assist the incumbent president is exempted from the provisions of paragraph A of this section," unquote. Executive Order 13526, which also governs marking of classified information. But because it exempts the president and vice president, those two officers don't even have to follow the marking convention. EO 13526 superseded another executive order that George W. Bush issued in 2003. But Trump never revoked EO 13526, so its terms still apply. Now, I'm going to get to the kind of objections to this concept, and I intend to show you why the proper thing to do is to overrule them. But before I do, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is OurSilverLines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You're not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected life changes have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit OurSilverLines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. And now to the objections. Bradley P. Moss is a partner in the Mark S. Zaid law firm, as Z-A-I-D, specializing in national security matters. For all his expertise, he tries to cast doubt on a president's ungainsayable authority to declassify or downgrade information. Mike Davis once clerked for Justice Neil Gorsuch of the U.S. Supreme Court. On August the 11th, Davis reminded everyone that presidents may declassify as they please. The Supreme Court reaffirmed this in 1987, he said, citing Department of the Navy versus Egan, 484 U.S. 518, 1988. At 3:14 p.m. Eastern Time Friday, Bradley Moss flew into that precedent's face. I've left a link to the tweet in the description. Get a load of this. For those in the back who have not been listening, let me say this one last time. Declassification has to be done and completed for each individual document before noon on January 2nd, 2021. No indication Trump made sure that was done for these docs. An oral statement is not enough. Well, excuse me. For those in the back who have not been listening, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot does this guy think he is? And Whiskey Tango Foxtrot does he think he's talking to? Remember, he is talking to a former law clerk for a justice of the Supreme Court. Well, Trump's Friday evening statement about having a standing order for declassification must have really knocked him off his rocker. I have a link in the description to this priceless gem of a tweet by him. It does not work that way. I mean, give me a break. In addition, Maggie Halberman of the New York Times alleged that she had asked a former senior administration official about the standing order, and then she says, quote, and they had absolutely no idea what this report is talking about. Yeah, right. We're supposed to believe that Trump has many more former senior administration officials who do know what he's talking about. And coming as this canard does from a reporter for the New York Times, I really have to recommend you to take that with an avoirdupois pound of salt. 7,000 grains, not just 1 grain. Anyway, I've left a link in the description so you can see it for yourselves for what it's worth. But it gets worse. Representative Jim Hines, a what else? Democrat from Connecticut, sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Clearly, the notion of a standing order from Trump to declassify what he took to a residence rocked him too. Baloney, he cried to MSNBC. Again, he appeared to be quoting Executive Order 13526, but forgetting that the order exempts the president and vice president. Now listen to this. Of course he's going to say that because it creates a little bit of confusion and throws a lot of mud in the water. But I can tell you, as someone who also sees the most sensitive information this country has, that's utter baloney. No, you cannot, Representative Hines, or at least not with any adjustment. You are not the president, and you have never been the president. You never had that authority. He did. If anyone here is throwing mud into the water, then it is Representative Hines and Attorney Bradley Moss. Each man needs to reread Executive Order 13526 and the bound opinion in Department of the Navy versus Egan. While they're at it, let them reread Mike Davis' short course on presidential authority to declassify information. I have links in the description to 5 tweets Mike Davis left on the subject. Among other things, Davis reminded everyone that the federal courts have no personal jurisdiction over presidents regarding the Espionage Act. Bottom line, I see no legitimate basis for a prosecution of Trump under the Espionage Act or the Presidential Records Act. Furthermore, no one ever prosecuted Hillary Clinton for having an email server in the bathroom of her private residence. This while she carried on sensitive conversations using that server. To prosecute Trump after failing to prosecute Hillary, who never was the president, that would constitute selective application of the law. Any jury would nullify that in a trice, or if they didn't, the Supreme Court eventually would. I address the rest of my remarks to Representative Hines, Lawyer Moss, Reporter Halberman, and anyone else who thinks they can dispute the conclusions I have reached. Leave a comment. Of course, the minute you do that, you lay yourselves open to cross-examination, including by any of my contributors who actually practice law. Link in the description of the article, to the warrant, to Trump's statement, to Executive Order 13526, to the tweets from Bradley Moss and Maggie Halberman, to the 5 tweets by Mike Davis, and the Conservative News and Views. I have another link to the awesome online store and to oursilverlives.com, as I also mentioned. And if you liked what you heard, you can like this video. And on the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link and definitely a link to the Trump Raid playlist, which is growing and growing all the time. This is Terry A. Hurlbut, delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.